Hello students and teachers. Today I want to talk with you briefly about a learning target having to do with simple and compound sentences. I want to review how you will be tested over that standard. So I want to talk about sentence structure. Sentence structure, let's talk about simple sentences. A simple sentence is a sentence that contains one independent clause. That means that sentence can stand by itself and it expresses a complete thought. So remember we talked about a complete subject, complete predicate makes a complete sentence. So it expresses a complete thought. It can stand all by itself and it contains only one independent clause. That means it is independent. It can stand alone. There are 4 ways to combine sentences for 4th grade. And I know we talked a lot about compound sentences, joining 2 independent clauses together with a comma conjunction. That is one way to combine sentences to make a compound sentence. But I want to look at all 4 ways that you will be tested today. So the first way is to delete repeated words that are in 2 sentences and make them one sentence. So listen to this example. My dad likes football. My dad likes basketball. So those are 2 independent, simple sentences. My dad likes football. My dad likes basketball. If we were to make those 2 sentences one sentence, we would delete my dad likes in the second sentence and simply make it my dad likes football and basketball. However, that would not be what we call a compound sentence because we don't need to add a comma and because that is not 2 complete thoughts. But if we were to, okay? So number 2, combine 2 independent sentences together by adding a comma and a conjunction. A conjunction being our fanboys, we call it, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So there's a complete sentence on one end, there's a complete sentence on the other end, and in the middle, it's joined by a comma and a conjunction. 3, we can use an introduction clause or a prepositional phrase with the comma. The comma goes after the prepositional phrase. So there's a prepositional phrase, while going to the store, comma, mom likes to sing in the car. So while going to the store is a prepositional phrase because it starts with the preposition. All right, and then 4, we could delete the period to create one sentence. So I want to look at some test questions that have been tested in the past so you can get a better idea of how these will look on your STAR assessment. All right, number 21 says, what is the correct way to write sentences 29 and 30? So I want to draw your attention to a couple of words in this question. It says, what is the correct way to write sentences 29 and 30? So the first thing I notice is it says correct way. So that means that something is not correct in 29 or 30. And then I see sentences 29 and 30, so automatically my brain says, uh-oh, they want me to combine these 2 sentences in one of the 4 ways because one of those sentences is wrong. Okay, now that I have my thinking, I know my LO. My LO, this is an edit question because it says what is the correct way, because edit means to make correct. And my LO is to combine sentences. That's what they want me to do. They want me to find what's wrong and combine them in a way that is correct. Okay, so my thinking is right on that. Now I'm ready to go back and read 29 and 30. Over and over, cats have come to the aid of their owners. That sounds correct to me. That sounds like a good sentence. Over and over, cats have come to the aid of their owners. Okay, let me read 30. And prove that they are heroic, loyal companions. And prove that they are heroic and loyal companions. So straight away, I see that sentence 30 is what's wrong because that's not a totally complete sentence. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It would be better if 29 and 30 were combined together. So now I'm going to look at my answer choices. So already, because I thought about it, I'm going to get rid of D because sentences 29 and 30 are written correctly? No, they are not, because I'm saying 30 does not sound right. All right, so I'm going to go back up to A. Over and over, cats have come to the aid of their owners. Okay, so that's what's already there. Looks like they've removed the period and put an and they removed the period and just kept this and made it lowercase and proved that they are heroic, loyal animals. I'm going to put a check by that. That sounds right. That would be a good way to write sentences 29 and 30. Let me go to B. Over and over, cats have come to the aid of their owners and proved that they are heroic, loyal companions. Well, that's not right at all, because it added another preposition here, and then there's no subject to go with it, and that they are heroic, loyal companions, that's another fragment, so B is not correct. C, over and over, cats have come to the aid of their owners, comma, they have proved that they are heroic, loyal companions. I know that A is my right choice because that is the correct way to combine sentences 29 and 30. There's no comma before and here because the second sentence is not an independent sentence. That is, it cannot stand alone because it doesn't have another subject on this side. Okay, prove that they are heroic, loyal companions. That cannot stand alone, so that is not an independent clause. Let's look at another tested example. Number 7 says, what is the correct way to write sentences 11 and 12? So again, my attention is here to correct. So something is incorrect if they're asking me to correct it. And I'm noticing sentences 11 and 12. So they're asking me, so my LO, that is my learning objective, is to combine sentences. So now I'm going to come over here and read 11 and 12. While the people went upstairs, period. While the people went upstairs. Well, what did they do? That is an incomplete sentence, isn't it? While the people went upstairs. Okay, so I see what's wrong straight away. Sentence 11 is a fragment, so that needs to be fixed. So I know that D is not the answer. Sentences 11 and 12 are not written correctly. So I'm going to go back to 12. Oliver was left to sleep downstairs in the basement. While the people went upstairs, Oliver was left to sleep downstairs in the basement. All right, let's go over here to our answer choices. While the people went upstairs, comma, Oliver was left to sleep downstairs in the basement. So again, I see a prepositional phrase, while the people went upstairs. We can change this period to a comma and just say Oliver was left to sleep downstairs. That makes sense. I'm going to put a check right here. The people went upstairs and Oliver was left to sleep downstairs in the basement. Well, that certainly is not right. You turned both of the sentences into a fragment. That doesn't make sense. That is not correct. And C, the people went upstairs. Oliver was left to sleep downstairs in the basement. So it didn't tell me to change the sentence to make it better. So it didn't prompt me to change the wording in any way. So I can leave the wording the same and just combine them. So C is not correct because that is revising the first part of the sentence. It didn't ask me to take away that transition word. That transition word actually makes sense. Let's look at another example. All right, this sentence says, what is the correct way to write sentence 6 and 7? In the maze of charred trees, period. In the maze of charred trees. Well, that makes no sense. That is a fragment because it is missing a predicate, isn't it? A tiny seedling began to grow. Okay, so we need to add a comma because of the prepositional phrase, and all the wording needs to stay the same. So, in the maze of charred trees, a tiny seedling began to grow. Now, D is your answer for that, in the maze of charred trees, comma, a tiny seedling began to grow. There's a comma there without a conjunction, but it is correct because on both sides of that comma, there's an independent clause. There is not an independent clause. If it had a comma conjunction, there would be independent clauses. Okay, so that's why the conjunction is not there. In the maze of charred trees is a prepositional phrase. A tiny seedling began to grow would be your independent clause. So that's why your answer has to be D. Okay? Now you try it. It says, what is the most effective way to combine sentences 24 and 25? The most effective way to combine sentences 24 and 25. So this would be a revision question. What would be the most effective way to combine sentences? Notice the other questions did not ask you to combine. They asked you for the correct way. That's how you're going to know editing from revising. So let's read 24 and 25. He made his way steadily down. A grin began to spread over his face. Now let's look at the answer choices. Since he made his way steadily down with the grin, it began to spread over his face. No. He made his way steadily down because a grin began to spread over his face. No. As he made his way steadily down, comma, a grin began to spread over his face. Question mark. We could put a question mark there. Or he made his way steadily down, a grin began to spread over his face. He made his way steadily down, a grin began to spread over his face. Yes, the answer is H. As he made his way steadily down, a grin began to spread over his face. Again, the comma is there without a conjunction because this part of the sentence is a prepositional phrase, not an independent sentence. If this were an independent sentence and this were an independent sentence, then it could have a comma conjunction in the middle. So let's look at some compound sentences that use the comma conjunction. I'm going to go back to our bio bus article. Most cars run on gasoline, comma, and most trucks and buses use diesel fuel. Now this is a compound sentence with a comma conjunction because most cars run on gasoline could be a complete sentence. Most trucks and buses use diesel fuel is also a complete sentence. So it makes sense to put the comma conjunction there. The idea of a poop-powered bus might make you giggle, comma, but it's seriously good for the planet. Again, the idea of a poop-powered bus might make you giggle. That is a complete thought. It's seriously good for the planet is also a complete thought. So that is a compound sentence with a comma conjunction. All right, let's look at this sentence here. When these materials break down, comma, they create a gas called biomethane. This is a combined sentence because of a prepositional phrase, when these materials break down. We couldn't put a period here because when these materials break down is not a complete sentence or a complete thought. Let's look at one more. Like sunlight or water, biomethane is a renewable fuel. That's a combined sentence because of prepositional phrase, like sunlight or water. That's not a complete thought. It cannot stand alone. It is not independent. So that's why we put the comma. Like sunlight or water, comma, biomethane is a renewable fuel. Here's your complete thought. But to combine those two sentences together, this is how it looks. All right, kiddos. I hope you've enjoyed this brief lesson today over how to either edit sentences that need correcting or how to use compound sentences with a comma conjunction and how to use them with a prepositional phrase. Practice that today in your writing and make sure you're getting those answers correct on your editing and revising if you just remember these few simple rules. Bye-bye for now.